This video explains how to build the PixelTrim system. Now, in this case, we are going to be building our system here with regular pixel node trim designed for nodes or strips, and these can be either square or they can be bullet style nodes. And what we want to do is first determine how much you need. So of course, accurate measurements of your property indicating where you'll be installing them is important. Another factor you need to consider when purchasing this is if you are going to be using one of the attachments or icicles, you will need to determine how many you need, because this is fully customizable. So here we have an icicle, and we can mount those on any of these spacings. So you every 2 inches can put a separate icicle. So let's start off with some basics. How do we splice 2 units together? So what we're going to do is we're just going to take some strip, and let's say we have 2 halves. What we're going to do is we're just going to cut it, and we're going to cut it right along here, right at the edge. And what we can do is we can bring this back together. So what we want to do is you can overlap these if you want. So here we have 2 overlapping, or if you want, you can cut them completely out. So for example, if we wish to cut them completely out, we can simply just cut this right along there, like that, and you can splice them together with zip ties here. So your choice. We're going to overlap them, and that gives us a little bit more support. Now, when you overlap them, you can put splice holes in 2 separate sections. Now, where do you put the holes? Now, you'll notice there are holes up here. Now, normally these holes up here are designed to mount strip or ribbon along the top. So you may not even use these small holes up here. Normally what we use is these down here. What we'll do is we'll take zip ties. In this case, ideally you're going to use a color matching zip tie, black or white. I'm going to slide it through the bottom, then through the top, and flip it over on the back side here, and just pull our zip tie flat. And then I'm going to come over, do the same thing, up, down, and out the back, and we'll hook them together here. All right, now what we can do is just take and cut these off. Now, all these modifications, I'm just using regular scissors here. There's nothing special. We can cut all this material with scissors, no problems at all. Now, at this point, you can see that we now have 2 sections, and they are spliced together, and they are very tight and strong. So, this allows you to make unlimited lengths exactly the way you need them. All right. Now, if you do need to, you can also splice Brilliant Bulb strip and node strip together because they have the exact same pattern. All right, next let's start with how to attach our icicles. Now, we use the term icicles, but there may be little Christmas trees or lollipops or icicles per se, and these can be mounted in any spacing you want, as I mentioned. So what we're going to do is, again, take some zip ties here, 2 of our black zip ties to match this. And you're going to want to lay out how much spacing you want. Now, this is completely your choice. You can put them at random spacing, so you could put one at 3 inches, then 4 inches, then 5 inches, then 3 inches, then 2 inches, whatever you feel is appropriate. Or you can do them consistently, so that they're every 2 inches, every 3 inches, or so on. And we can also customize the length, and I'll show you that in a minute. Now, we generally recommend putting these under. It looks better. And so we go to the same process. So I'm simply going to match these up, put a zip tie through here, and down, and then come back over and zip tie it in place. Now, this is for 90-degree angles. Now, this assumes that your area that you're mounting it is horizontal, such as a fascia along a roof line, and it's flat. This is going to be 90 degrees to the travel of your horizontal pixels. So, if we have this along a roof line, such as this, and this is horizontal and our roof is up here, we have this thing going vertically down, 90 degrees to that. So we'll talk about it in just a moment, how to make these angled. Let's say if you have a gabled in. Now, we've got it spliced in. It's completely strong, won't come out. And now you just go ahead and add in your additional icicles as you see fit. Now, you could even mix and match different kinds of icicles. So if you want to have a traditional icicle, a Christmas tree icicle, a lollipop icicle, whatever suit your needs will work fine here. All right, now the next thing we can do is we can mount them at an angle. So let's take our same icicle, and I'm going to use a white button pivot point here instead of our black, so you can easily see it. Now, this is going to be the front of our material. And by the way, on this particular material, we do have a kind of a rough side and a smooth side. So you may be able to see that here. Here we have a little bit of a texture to it. Here we have a bit of a smoothness to it. That is purely choice. You can mount it on either side. The rough textured side tends to be less reflective than this side. All right, so let's say we're going up at an angle and we want to mount that. Again, we just figure out where we want to put this. Then we simply just say, right there, put that button in there. Take your icicle from the back, and we've popped it in there, and you can see that on the back. And we take our clip and just push it in, and now we're perfectly fine. And you can see that we can get angles up to and almost over 60 degrees. All right, now installing the pixels. Now, you can install your pixels. I would recommend installing the mounting system first, but let's go ahead and show you how to do pixels. So this, as I mentioned, works with square or bullet style pixels, and a word maybe on lighting pixels. So because this is completely custom, there may not necessarily be pixels necessary for your project. Now, some vendors may have very specific pixels like 7 down or X number across or some spacing. Check with that vendor. In many cases, you may require custom wiring, so you may have to do a little bit of custom wiring. So if you are using nodes, be aware that if you need to return a wire, for example, if you're coming down off of this pixel and then you need to come back up this pixel and go over to the next pixel icicle, you can use these zip tie holes in the center to carry your wires across so they don't get all wonky on you. Okay, well, this is fairly easy for the nodes. Simply just take your nodes and push them through here. Now, if you're flat nodes, it will lay completely flat up against here, so there will be no gap. It'll be completely flat. You can see that, and that would be ideal. Same thing applies for bullet nodes. Just push them through, and there you go. Now, square nodes tend to be better, so let's keep in mind how we're going to mount this. So let's talk about that. So we're going to flip this over. This is the back side here. And we're going to mount this with PVC. So what I have here, I have PVC pipe. Now, just a note here, you can use EMT pipe. EMT pipe is heavier. It is electrically conductive, so there could be some issues there. Also, most importantly, this EMT pipe does not have a clip available for it that we sell. So what we recommend is this 770 clip. So you attach this to your home, screw that in. That screw will be countersunk inside the clip. Leave these up all year round. Next year, you'll just be able to take this up and down. All right, so we need to start off with some PVC. This is just standard 1/2-inch PVC. Now, this is a thicker wall PVC, and you can use the thinner walls that are like irrigation style. Now, you can choose to use either maybe a 6 or an 8-inch zip tie like we have here, or you can use on 1/2-inch PVC, you can just use a 4-inch zip tie. So I'm going to use white here so it's a little more obvious. And what we do is, if this is our back side, what we're going to do is we're going to come down here. So our pixels actually go up here, and we don't want to obstruct those. This will go over all of our parts right here for if we have icicles. And so what we're going to do is just come down here. I'm just going to slide this down and come back up through the other side. And a tip here is you may want to put all of your all of these zip ties in all at one time. And then just come back through and zip tie them in. Now, how many zip ties do you need? We don't really know. That depends on your particular requirements. So if you want it to be perfectly straight and not have any minor sag, put them in relatively close. If you have a lot of wind load or you have a lot of icicles on here with lots of pixels and lots of weight, that'll all just depend on your particular installation. All right, so I've added 2 of these zip ties here, and we're just going to then lay our entire PVC pipe down. Now, ideally what you've done is you have measured out the areas for these lights to be installed before you start this project and before you even purchase this project. That will allow you to make sure you have the right number of icicles and the right number of strips that you need to complete your project. So, if that's the case, you already know that you have your length. Let's say it's 9 feet 3 inches. You would cut your pipe to 9 feet 3 inches. And if you want, you can actually then use that as a guide from the pipe end to then start figuring out how far you need to mount this. Now, we do recommend mounting your icicles first, even if you don't have the lights in them, because once you put this over the top of them, they will tighten up and it'll be harder to get them in there. Okay, so now we're going to take our PVC pipe and we're just going to finish our zip ties here. Slide these through here. All right. Okay, so once you have your zip ties in place, you can then just trim off the ends and you're set to go. Now this will form a structural component that will hold this straight and allow you to put everything up at one time in one go. So this makes your installation easy. Not only are you getting your top outline done and put up, you're also putting up your icicles if you have them. Now, also, this PVC pipe is hollow, so if you're doing some sort of longer runs, you may want to run a cable through here with custom length cables, put pigtails on them, so you can make this a channel to go on to other lights. So if you have a controller, let's say it's down on this end of the string, you can then have other items at the other end that may need power injection or other kinds of wire. So you can run it through here. So even one more thing is done. Now the key to all this, you gotta plan. Think through everything you're going to wire up, how much voltage each pixel needs, what the power consumption of that is, and all that. All right, then you would simply go out to your house. Once you've got that, first time you would have to install these clips. Just put them up on the house. Screws, wood screws, depends on your particular substrate, whether you have stucco or hardy plank or wood or vinyl. So choose an appropriate screw necessary to mount this and simply then just snap that in place. Now, how many of these clips you need, again, is a function of really how much weight we're dealing with here, which is unique to each installation. So if you have a lot of icicles here, each with lots of pixels in them, then you would need appropriately the amount of clips. In general, we're going to recommend every 2 to 4 feet that you have a clip. All right, now a note on these icicles. Now these icicles can be customized. Now on this particular icicle we have 16 holes and they're spaced at 1 inch, and you can skip these holes, so if you don't want to put them in there. Now if you have a Christmas tree or lollipop or any of our other icicles that attach to the PixelTrim system, you may want to install all or a reduced number of pixels in that product, and it's completely up to you. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're just going to customize our length of our icicle, and I'm just going to decide, oh, okay, I want to make this the bottom of my icicle. There we go. And then maybe down here I want this one to be, oh, I don't know, right here. And you can see this is just a process of using your regular scissors and trim it. Didn't necessarily do a great job there, but as you can see here, we See if I can pull out here a little bit. You can see that we've trimmed these so that we have one icicle that's longer and one icicle that's shorter. And again, you can put as many or as few icicles in those, or lights in those, as you see fit. So, hopefully this has been helpful on how to install the Pixel Node and strip version of this icicle PixelTrim system.